Welcome, everybody. My name is Hoda Mehr. I'm CEO of Products Account. I'm your host today, and this is a special episode because I'm not alone, and I have actually a panelist, a group of our esteemed advisory board members, advisory council members, who were the judges of this year's Product Manager Awards as well, and they are the ones who reviewed hundreds and hundreds of profiles of the latest Product Manager Awards program and selected the winners. And by doing so, they are the closest to experts that you can find, or the best experts you can find in this field of identifying who is a good product manager, what it means to be a great product manager in this day and age. Before we start talking, actually jumping in, I was talking to Kurian and Apurva, who are two of our guests, and we were talking about the world is just changing so fast. The definition of what's a great product manager, what's a great PM is changing. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about. When these judges looked at the nominees, the winners of the Product Manager Award, they actually identified three themes that distinguishes an average product manager with a great product manager, especially in this day and age, in the AI era. And we're going to go through those. I'm going to ask these advisory board members and judges to share real examples. They're obviously really great product leaders themselves, so they can also share experience from their own background. So without further ado, let's jump in. Let's get to know our panelists, and then I have prepared 6 questions for them, and I'm gonna hold them accountable to give you as much detailed insight and examples as they can from their day-to-day life, but also from the awards nominees and winners. So let's jump in from maybe left to, because Kurian, you're my left on my screen, so I'm gonna put you on the spot and ask you to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Kurian. I am an AI product leader at Clio. I am currently involved in building AI native products. It was amazing and a joy to be part of this judging panel. I got to read nominations from so many stellar PMs, and I can't wait to talk about that.
Thank you, Kuri. I'm gonna move to Apurva. What about you?
Um, yeah. Hey everyone. So I am currently leading product at Amazon for their ad tech and customer lifecycle management for podcast creators. Um, I've been in product domain for quite some time, have worked both on the business side and have some technical experience. Really excited to be talking about how AI is impacting our lives day to day and what being a super PM is.
Thank you, Apurva. Thanks for being here. Kristen, what about you?
Hi, yeah, I'm Kristen Johansson. I was previously a product leader for a lot of scaling startups, including Sonos and Lynda.com. I was most recently the vice president of product at Act Blue. I am now a product discovery consultant and letterpress printer.
Awesome. That's great to have you here. And Danielle, last but not least.
Daniel Feldman. I had product management for the e-mobility team at Siemens. I was trying to count how many years I've been doing product management. So it's actually 20 years of this year. It turns 20 years in product management. I've done startups, I've done mid-sized companies, large companies, and was really humbled to be doing this for the second time. So apparently I did an okay job first time, and happy to be here.
Well, thank you. All 4 of you are among some of the most active advisory board members at Products Account, and we appreciate you being here. And I know a few of you are actually former Product Manager Award winners or Product Leader Awards, so we're in great company with you guys on this call. So let's jump in. I'll tell you what actually stood a lot for me, and then I'm going to open it to you guys about the 3 themes that you identified as themes that distinguishes an AI, a great PM from an average PM, an award-winning PM from an average PM, especially in the AI era, because obviously we can't just talk about product management these days and not talk about AI. And what stood out to me was that not all of the 3 themes were about AI. There is obviously an AI aspect to it, but there's a still classic, what it takes to be a great product manager, classic attributes and superpowers of product manager, where some of the things you've observed as what distinguish average PM from a great product manager. So that's what stood out to me. But let's just jump in and get the big elephant, which is the AI aspect of the product management out of our way and have a conversation. My question is really, obviously everybody knows when you talk about AI, it's about integrating AI into your work. It's not just like use AI to write better emails. There's actually more to that, to being a great product manager, leveraging AI. So I'll actually ask a question, and anybody who wants to jump in and answer that question is that what do winning PMs do differently when it comes to integrating AI in their workflow and in their job beyond just using AI to write great emails? Anybody wants to chime in?
Yep. Yeah, I can get started on that. One of the things that I've noticed that winning PMs or super PMs are not just using AI tools to automate their day-to-day documentation or simple workflows. I would say, they are more AI native. They are on the lookout for latest AI trends. They are very hands-on and experimental. The learn and curious mindset is very, very evident from what we read while reviewing these PM profiles. Um, uh, Documentation is one part, but winning PMs are using AI tools to create prototypes. They are using AI to create strategic communication deliverables to drive alignment across large teams. Um, and one unique thing that I read across all winning PMs was they're all thinking about responsible AI. They're not just using AI to impact their daily workflows. Even when they're thinking about using AI to power their customer experience, they are thinking about, are there any biases that we need to look out for? Are there any hallucinations that we need to look out for? How do we protect customer data? So this is a very unique trait amongst the top PMs that I noticed this year.
That's a great one. Yes, is the topic of responsible AI and thinking about that actually comes up quite often. Anybody wants to build on top of this notion of what Apurva mentioned is that it's not only just about using AI for automating, but it's also using AI integrated through your workflow, or also even like building with AI. So it's almost like three usage of AI. It's like using AI to automate, integrate AI into your workflow, and then like build with AI. Sounds like those are various layers of it. Anybody wants to chime in on what it means to be using AI as a product manager, as a top product manager?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
You go ahead, Kristen.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that I'm really seeing a lot is the folks who really stood out were not just talking about AI as a technology, or I'm taking AI and kind of throwing it this technology at things. They could really articulate and were a little bit deeper into what are the actual workflows, and they could be very articulate as to how AI in particular was solving that problem. And they were bringing real user insights into that and making AI a much more powerful tool. They're not just sort of spreading it, agentic fairy dust all over everything. I think that there were some great examples in there. I think Nimisha Sharath from Uber, for example, was really focusing on how can I use this for safety purposes, and help make rides safer, as well as reducing the cost of insurance. Really getting in there as to how can AI really specifically help here. A lot of folks using AI to get through reams of data. A lot of what we have to do as product managers are kind of separate the wheat from the chaff, find themes, etc. I saw a lot of folks, using AI to help them kind of get through that, and as well as making tools for people to get through large quantities of data more effectively.
That's a good point. Kiri, you wanted to add on top of that?
I just want to add that what we noticed were people who really stood out were curious and they were problem solvers. So they were just inherently so curious that despite their busy lives and whatever else is going on, they're setting aside. Like remember reading one nomination from Srinath Chandramohan. He was setting out time, dedicated time aside just to keep up with the technology and know what's going on, but not just that, also trying to figure out how it applies to solve real problems, which is like what Kristen said, right? Not just sprinkling AI fairy dust, but truly figuring out what the boundaries of the technology is and how can it help solve some real problems.
That's a really good point. So yes, it's like automating with AI, integrating AI into your workflow, building with AI, and then actually continuously being curious about new technology in a way like nobody knows how to do AI, right? This is how you do AI. Nobody really knows what it is because we are all learning. So it's really that notion of curiosity as a mindset. Maybe it's the most important mindset of some of these top PMs.
Yeah,
Yeah, Daniel.
one other note building on what everybody said, it blurs the definition of what a product manager is. We had one award winner who actually built the product. We're not talking about building a prototype. He was in a startup, so you could argue, well, a startup by definition, the first product is a prototype. He sold it. So it blurs a little bit the job of product manager, and you could go, I mean, this is an example in the direction of R&D, but it could be in the direction of marketing, or it could be in the direction of sales, depending on what you're trying to do. I think the most important thing that was mentioned here is time. At the end of the day, is a tool to save you time and to make you more effective in doing something. And what that is depends on the product manager.
I love that you brought that up because it really goes back to what is the mindset of an AI-enabled product manager? Obviously, we talked about curiosity, but also it's like speed to deliver everything, speed to deliver insight, to Kristen's point around data, speed to deliver the prototype, the speed to deliver the actual product, to Daniel's point. So that sounds curiosity in sort of like bias for speed. It used to be bias for action. Now it's like bias for speedy action, bias to deliver outcomes as fast as possible. And that sounds like,
Absolutely.
yeah, go ahead, Kristen.
Yeah, so much of a product manager's job is helping convince other people of where things need to go and to understand where things need to go. And I think it just gives you so many more tools to help, build that picture. If you can show, here's a prototype of what this could be, I would say like a picture is 1,000 words and a prototype is 1,000 pictures. I think that is, just giving us more ways to more quickly get our ideas across, help other people, pull together, understand their own ideas, and, kind of get that out there in a way that we can have a shared language around it.
I love it. So is there kind of going to the question of how are top PMs cultivating this notion of being a super PM in the AI era? Is there anything else you want to add? We talked about curiosity, we talked about speed and being proactive about experimentation. Is there anything else that came across even from your own day-to-day life as a product leader or from these winners that define what is an a super PM in the AI era, and what are some of those attributes?
I have a take that I say often, but I think to really succeed as a PM, you should be one to constantly be seeking disconfirmation and rather than validation. And by that, what I mean is like never be happy with the status quo, like constantly looking at how do you improve, either you improve the product or you improve a workflow, but constantly going after better and bigger outcomes, whether you use AI or not. But now that we are talking about AI, it's constantly also evaluating on how this technology is rapidly changing. So every week there's something new, and you're constantly like never be satisfied that, oh, I learned, this one thing and that's good enough, but constantly seeking to be invalidated almost.
I love that. It's almost like, how I don't know if any of you use the concept of pre-mortem, like instead of post-mortem, pre-mortem into your project. So people don't like it because it feels negative, but like I always go into some of the meetings and say, what could go wrong? What are the risks we're going to see here that it's gonna? So it's that what you're referring is very similar to that, to kind of see this validation. What was that term? This validation? What?
This confirmation.
This confirmation.
Yeah, disvalidation. I
This
don't know what the word, but
this confirmation. It's a good one. I love it. That's a better line. By the way,
By the way,
yes,
Apurva made a good point about hallucinations. I mean, we talk about AI keeping improving and improving. It's true, but at the end of the day, it is garbage in, garbage out. So one of the things that I do with young product managers, they ask me, "Oh, so can we use AI to do competitive analysis?" And my answer is always the same. Well, it depends. If you don't know anything about the competition, yes, If you know your competitors really well, no.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, you're supposed to know better than the information that is publicly available, and the information doesn't fix itself, right? So it's true as of whenever it was trained, and sometimes it's trained with better data or not, how to judge which sources are better. So you have to trust but verify, because hallucinations are going to be there.
Yes, I love that. Trust and verify. And also there's some like as good PMs, it's almost like to me, it's just so critical to learn how to prompt and how to do trust and verify because typically AI output is so well put together that it's so easy to just trust, right? But if you have that mindset of to trust and validate, you have to constantly ask what the sources are, what are the assumptions, where did you get this, how recent is this data? Yes, I love that. Trust and
Really
validate.
asking what's missing, right?
What's
Like how may I poke holes in this, whatever it is that AI has built or given me, or you know?
I like that.
Yeah.
Can I go on a tangent here? So, Curie, you said when you prompt an AI, you'll ask what's missing. So I love that of asking what from your point of view, what's missing in this output? Is there any other prompt hacks or really good prompt techniques that one of you use in using
So
LLMs?
I can share like a little bit of a different take. So most AI savvy PMs currently are trying to see, oh, how might AI help me write my PRD, or how might AI help me do like competitive analysis or whatever. I like to do it the other way around. So I like to do the first draft myself, and then I use it almost as a tear down of my work before I show it to another human. Be like, AI, can you tear down my work and tell me everything's that's wrong with this? And I think that makes me a better PM. It definitely helps me elevate the quality of work that I put out.
Mm,
Yeah.
what
So
else?
so much of being a good AI product manager is understanding what AI is good at and what AI is not good at. And, almost universally, I think we can all agree that, just putting something in and getting something out and using it is almost never going to get you the result that you want. So much of I think where I found the benefit of working with it is exactly what Kiri was saying is making it a thought partner for you and bouncing things off or asking it to QA something, and also, having it do the first draft, but knowing this is a first draft and now I'm going to tear it apart. So I think AI as a co-pilot is very, very powerful, but people are too eager to sort of hand things off completely to the AI. And then
Delegate.
that's where you end up in a ditch.
No delegation to AI so far. Any other one, Apurva or Daniel? Yeah, like prompting hacks or techniques you use to really use AI as your assistant?
But yeah, I think like building like exactly what Kerry mentioned. So I think what I've learned is for 0 to 1 brainstorming, I think AI can go on tangents which may no longer be relevant to what you were looking for. So I think it's good to provide AI as much context as possible. So generally, my current approach to these days is because I know AI will turn my thinking into a structured PRD format, which I've already fed into this chain of thought, reasoning, and in the AI memory. I spend most of my time in the initial stages just to do unstructured thinking and writing. Then and I do not, at that stage, I don't worry about putting things into a particular document format and sections. I just dump all of my thoughts in my head based on whatever research I've done, as much as data that I have. I dump it into AI. Then I use it as an AI companion, kind of like brainstorming with it. Now, based on the information that I share, like what do you think about the product idea that I have? Like, am I thinking about customer segments correctly? A lot of the things which can help me refine my thinking, so that I know where are the gaps in terms of research, what am I thinking, what am I not thinking. This is a very broad stage. I also use AI for a deterministic scenario, like when my PRD from the vision perspective is most likely finalized from all the research and feedback perspective. the easiest thing that I don't spend a lot of time these days at all is writing user stories and acceptance criteria, because those are simply easiest for AI just to take over. Like 90% of my effort can just go into thinking, and all the deterministic scenarios like user stories, acceptance criteria, I just hand it over to AI and I just review it, ensure there's nothing is missing. There is obviously AI hallucinates, so I have to look out for that. But
Mm,
that's how I'm using AI for documentation perspective.
I love it. That's pretty good. Thank you for sharing that. Daniel, would you want to add anything, or do you want to move to the next question?
I occasionally bounce ideas about go-to-market strategy and
Yeah.
ask, but it's the exemplary. Give me 10 ideas on A, B, C, or D. Occasionally, I use it unsuccessfully on market research, giving a list of things, and go give me the answer for what is the answer for these 100 things. Same answer. I want to know the difference, and I get horrible results. So
Yeah.
it's not where I would like it to be for the users I would like it to have. I hope one day it gets there, because then it would save me a lot of time.
Right. That's good. That's actually really good. It goes back to like there are some questions that are really well, AI can do a really good job at it, and there are some questions that it can't do a good job at it. As it gets complex and it needs to go multiple steps, it's like any other, even it's like a human, you have to split it into like a smaller part and try to simplify it. So yes, knowing when to use AI and not when using AI, to your point, Daniel, it's actually critical.
Yeah.
Uh,
On that, I wanted to say I also had my failed experiments with AI on competitive analysis. So finally, what I've converged on, as Daniel mentioned, like once I know better who are my competitors, like in my category or product that I'm handling, um, I generally use AI to give it the list of all the URLs or the product documentations that is available online for my competitors. And then I ask it to create a feature comparison matrix, which I can use for my own analysis or for my internal documentation. It helps give me some insight into what my competitors are launching or are going to launch in the future. I no longer have to extensively read all of the help center docs from my competitors. But yeah, I have to narrow it down to a level where AI can just give me deterministic responses.
Yeah, I
um,
agree with Apurva. So that's actually a great example. So it works well for Apurva because he knows which features matter. Part of the problem is, do you know what matters? Because then AI will give you a bunch of features comparing, and if you know which ones matter, you can build that search properly
Yeah.
and comparison properly. If you don't, you get some problematic comparison there.
Yes, I like that. I think this portion of our conversation can be a whole standalone conversation for a long time, but even like we already just learned, I kind of learned a few things right now in this conversation. So thank you for sharing your hacks and your solutions to using AI. But AI is not the only thing PMs are doing, and obviously it wasn't the only thing, the theme that came out of the product manager awards that you guys did, the judging and selecting the winners. So why don't we move from, now that we tackled the elephant, the AI and the AI super PM mindset, why don't we move to the sort of the next attributes or threat or theme that came out of the evaluation? And let's talk about that. And it was about being an outcome driven person. Like great PMs, what differentiates a great PM from an average PM is this constant focus on driving outcome and outcome that are pretty clear for the organization. So I want to get, obviously that's not a new thing for a lot of product leaders. We all know being a great product manager is about being focused on outcome. But I really want to like dig down a little bit further and get some examples from you from how do great product managers actually make sure that they're really focusing on the right measurable outcome for their businesses and not just any outcome, because as we know, we can go very fancy with our dashboards and come up with so many nice KPIs and metrics, and picture could look very good, but it's actually not the right PM. So let's talk about that. Like how do great PMs are actually focused on the right outcomes for their businesses?
So I have a really, and you saw me sit up in my chair as you brought up outcomes, because I have a really nuanced take on this. So going back to AI and the way we are building products now, or the type of products we are building, are also changing the outcomes that we are driving. And to explain that a little bit more, back before AI, or traditional SaaS products are designed as tools for a human to do the job. And then now, as we are going into building these AI native products, we are kind of moving into the territory of building AI co-pilots, AI assistants, AI employees, AI teammates, whatever you want to call it, right? But the nuance difference is, one, SaaS tools were tools for somebody to do the job. Now, AI native products are more and more increasingly designed to actually do the job for the person. And so we no longer can be successful if we are measuring the same metrics, same outcomes, like stickiness or how much time is somebody spending in the tool. The better weight, or the better thing to measure, is the actual how efficiently is the task completed, right? Like how many bookings is the agent making versus how much time is a human. In fact, it's the opposite, upside down, that the less amount of time a human has to spend in the tool, the more successful it is, because it means that your AI agents are doing it correctly. So from good PMs know when that shift is happening. Good PMs, successful ones, will watch out for those shifts in the right outcomes, and will be able to very clearly articulate which outcome to measure the success of their product. And I think this is really, really important and not talked about enough in the space of AI native products. So I wanted to put
Yes.
it out
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. I think, there's a move from, focusing on tasks and user stories, but the "so that I can" is really important. And the motivations of those people is also really important. What outcomes are they after, and what's actually important to them? I think, you see a real difference between, sort of more of the tactical product managers. I see this, big leap between, being a product manager and a product leader. So much of that is moving from, a good product manager knows their product, knows their user, knows what their user needs to get done. Someone, as they move up, is starting to really understand what the business, what your business needs to get done, how it differentiates itself, how it's positioned, as well as the, especially for B2B SaaS, the larger environment of the person who's ending up using your product. And the buyer may even be a different person. So understanding that full ecosystem, what motivates those different people, what outcomes they are after, really helps you, be prioritizing the right things, because I think it's very easy to get kind of optimizing for the wrong thing if you're really only looking at parts rather than the whole.
Mm. That's a really good one. Kurian and Kristen, I have to say, it's like what you're sharing is gold, right? It's basically going back to your customers and going back to the voice of customers. And to Kurian's example, is that the customer doesn't want to spend more time on the tool. It's the sort of the leading indicator for the outcome they're trying. But if AI is making it efficient, we need to go back to the actual indicator, or the lagging indicator, which is the final outcome the customer wants to drive, and measure that, as opposed to trying to guess time on, stickiness, all that, retention, things of that sort, may have a totally different definition in this new
Yeah,
era.
yeah. And not just the outcome, though, the motivation. I mean, so for example, you're selling a graphic design product. The outcome that person is after is they want to have a finished design. But their motivation for what they're doing is to still be creative and to do those things. So how can you, for example, add AI in a creative workflow and still give that person agency, creativity, et cetera? So I think that we really have to be thinking a lot more about where people feel like they need to retain control, where people are building trust, and then over time also building products that allow people to build that trust. Because, yeah, giving up my entire job to AI is really scary. But AI can actually do a lot of things to make me have more fun at my job and do my job better. But a lot of that has to do with how well those tools actually, meet my own personal needs and motivations, but also the outcomes that I'm being measured by.
That makes a lot of sense. Daniel or Purva, would you want to add anything to how do top PMs basically draw the line between what we just talked about? doing his stuff versus creating meaningful value for the users.
I actually here don't think that there is, and I may be controversial, but I don't think there is any difference between the pre-AI and post-AI world. Outcome-driven leadership, you're supposed to be doing that. I mean, that's in my first MBA classes was you're in B2B, you're selling to your customers' customers. Do you know what your customers' customers need? So if you know that, you know that. And yes, use AI to save time and accelerate whatever it is that your customers needs. And if that includes reducing personnel, then yes, then there will be less people. And that's the direction that many companies want to go after. So yes, if you're making a tool for creative people, and to use Kristen's example, obviously, then no, you don't want to eliminate the creator. And that goes against they're not going to buy it. There's not going to be anybody to buy that tool. But at the end of the day, you have to understand your customer's customer. So on a market by market, that's going to be different. I don't think there is a change. What changes is where you're going to focus your investment, how many people you're going to need to get that done, and is AI going to get the job done in a better way, where better is relative. We mentioned before, ethical and without hallucinations, ethical, reliable. That's for me, no change.
Yes, the foundation stays the same. You're right. The applications of it then changes differently. That makes a lot of sense. Apurva, would you want to add anything?
Yeah, no, I think like those are like very valid points. I think the fundamentals of, as everyone mentioned, the fundamentals of product management have not changed. Product managers need to be voice of their customer. They need to be domain experts. They need to resolve ambiguity for the stakeholder team. Stakeholder alignment and communication will never be replaced. Resolving ambiguity will never be replaced. AI can help you poke holes in your thinking, but it cannot be the replacement of thinking itself. Um, I think, and what I've seen among the top PMs that I evaluated, that they were able to tie their individual. They were not just focusing on number of features launched or number of deliverables achieved. They were focusing on like what measurable business outcome that the features or product that I released they had on the company or the org I was supporting. I think that's the hard part. Like X number of features shouldn't be an outcome that PM should be focusing on.
Exactly. That makes a lot of sense. So let's switch gear to the third theme. So the first theme was about AI mindset and integration of that mindset. The second theme was around how do they stay business outcome focused or focus on the outcome that matters to the customer. And then the third theme was about cross-functional alignment. So the question to you and whoever wants to take it is that what set these award-winning PMs apart when it comes to how they drive an alignment between different cross-functional teams? I mean, obviously with AI also, we were talking at the beginning, this can change drastically, but even not without AI generally, how do these top product managers focus on kind of like rallying the troops, around the vision about the product that they're trying to do across, even though they're not reporting to them, right? It's cross-functional in other teams. What are some of the practical examples that kind of jumped at you and you want to share with us today?
I can say what I think changed and what I think didn't change. So let's start with what didn't change. Yes, you have to collaborate with all the other departments. People have to trust you. To trust you, you have to have a reputation in the company. To have a reputation, normally you have to be reliable, transparent, right? That didn't change. What does change quite a bit is we're threading into new waters. So normally when you go to management and say, I have an idea and I want budget to explore that idea. Budget to explore that idea doesn't mean necessarily now I need a system architect and I need somebody to build a prototype for me. It can be, I'll build my prototype here. CEO, I'm going to show you my prototype. So it changes how that collaboration can happen. And it also, in a good way and a bad way. So the good way is that you're a lot more independent and you can come with that prototype really quickly. you can also offend people in the R&D team who are going to tell you, oh, yeah, it's so easy to make something that doesn't have the security, doesn't have the reliability, blah, 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 because you just threw something like that to AI. So that creates new human problems between the product manager and the people with whom they have to collaborate.
Mm. There's this in online spaces, you see PMs say engineering is going to go away and product managers are the new engineers. And then engineers say PMs are going away because engineers are all going to do the same thing that PMs are doing. I mean, I'm obviously going to extreme, but I hear these ratios, like the PM community say, we now need a lot less engineering power, and then the engineering team say we now need a lot less PM. So it really goes back to what Daniel was saying, is just it creates human problem when it comes to now, like the lines are getting blurry. That's a really good point. What else did you observe? If anybody wants to add one or two more observations.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, what I noticed, fundamentally, from cross-functional stakeholder perspective, the winning PMs, in my perspective, they are very, very proactive in demonstrating that they work with large and very diverse cross-functional teams, especially with AI into picture. In addition to working with regular product design, engineering orgs, the winning PMs were working extensively with legal, marketing, PR, compliance teams. Compliance was it when I read the responses, compliance was on top of their mind whenever they were thinking in terms of cross-functional alignment. um, they were fielding those leadership questions around responsible AI, and they relied on heavy documentation. Obviously, it was in addition to building prototypes with AI, as Daniel mentioned. They were using AI to refine their communication that they were sending out to various stakeholders, to and poke holes in their thinking and refine whatever they were delivering. So that was like pretty evident across the winning PMs.
That makes a lot of sense. Kiri, you're on. So Kristen, go ahead, and Kiri, you were on mute.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the other things that I saw, going back to my previous comment about, kind of going from knowing the product to knowing the business, it's the same thing in the organization. A lot more junior PMs are spending a lot of time with their designers, their engineers, their user, and are really kind of focused on, what are we building? Whereas you see kind of more advanced ones are really thinking about it holistically. What are we putting out there? How are we selling it? How are we positioning it? How are we pricing it? Isn't necessarily something that the product manager is doing, but it has to take into account. I mean, I've certainly seen, for example, product managers making decisions to add a bunch of features that were requested by a certain type of user into the product and unwittingly making it a very hard product to sell. And so, the people who are using the product love it, but now they can't sell the product. And so, that's going to impact the business in a negative way. So understanding all of those different parts and building relationships, with the people who are doing support, or who are doing sales, who are doing the marketing and positioning, and getting it out to market, I think is so important in building, a really competitive product in this particular market. It's just something that, you see a lot of these really, really great leaders that we saw thinking about that.
That's a very good point. It's becoming even more important than before. Yeah. Kiri, you want to add on top of that?
Yeah, I wanted to add this idea of when we say cross-functional, the leading PMs were also including customers or users in that cross-functional. So they weren't just aligning everybody internally, but they were very close to their customers, working hand in hand with the users, understanding. They had like deep customer empathy, and they had adaptability in their actual roadmap based on customer feedback that they were getting. So, and I remember reading a couple of examples where I was like, yes, this is exactly how it should be. And I was glad to see and those PMs really collaborating with their customers on a daily basis, talking to end users almost every day. I think no amount of AI or research or vision or deck or prototyping can replace talking to real customers or real users.
Mm.
And to
Actually,
build on Kayuri's point, there's actually one real big problem with AI, which is everybody has access to it. So you really have to know your stuff.
Yeah.
Because you can get to a presentation with a product idea and you present it, and there can be an engineer looking at ChatGPT and asking, what are the top competitors, blah, blah, blah. And is it during your presentation, oh, what you forgot A, B, and C, right? That could happen a lot more easily now. Anybody can be a passenger product manager.
that's exactly it. Yes. So you need to really know your stuff and be the true subject matter expert when it comes to your product, what are your customers, that makes sense. Depth is becoming more, substance is becoming more important. Is that one way of saying it now in this AI era? Very good. So that's a great segue into the last question I have. And I wanted to ask you, obviously you guys are the best product leaders that we know, part of our advisory council. So why don't we turn it into your experience? It doesn't have to be from the product manager award nominees. So what is that one unique insight from your own experience that you would add to these themes as it relates to what distinguishes a great product manager from like an average product manager from a award-winning or a great product manager? And if either answer that question or maybe share an advice that you have for aspiring, growing product leaders and product managers out there in terms of becoming better and moving from an average to becoming among those top 5% best product managers that are out there. So either advice or something that you would want to add to the three themes. Who wants to go first?
I can go first. I think whether you call this person a product manager, an engineer, or anybody, let's just say a product person, are people who have deep customer empathy and are very entrepreneurial in their just overall outlook, meaning that they're looking to solve customer problems that are really useful, but also make money at the same time. So build products that somebody is willing to pay for. I think is what separates successful product people. And
I
this
love
can be
it.
anybody, right? This can be engineers with this mindset also. You would hope that you have engineers with this mindset, so they can help you get there, build products that can be sold.
I love it. So it's not just to ship product. The goal is not to ship more and more features out there. The goal is to like this, right? Obviously at the end of the day. So it has to actually count commercially. It's the product that truly counts like this.
Commercial
Yeah.
viability is important, right? Like unless you're working for an NGO, pretty much everybody works for companies that profitability is important. And you can only keep shipping features for so long without, if it's not
Outcome.
making money.
Yes. Good point.
I think, we focus so much on building new things that people want. But I think that's only one of three roadmaps that you have to have as a product manager and be thinking about all the time, right? So building new things that people want are how you build your market, how you grow, how you get new users, new customers, etc. You also have to spend some of your time and effort making what you have better, to prevent other folks from coming along and eating your lunch, to stay competitive in the market, to keep the customer base that you already have. The third roadmap you need to always build is to ensure that you actually have a future. So that's all of the infrastructure. This is all the not very exciting stuff that product managers always groan about. But this is all the hey, we have to update this framework, or hey, we have to tackle this technical debt piece. And if you don't continue to pay attention to all three of these pathways, you're going to have a really hard time, as a business, right, being able to kind of be sustainable and grow. So I think those are the things that, you want to see a product manager really looking at all three of those at all times.
Not getting always excited about the next big fun thing to build, the next new cool
Chasing
feature.
squirrels.
Yes, exactly. Daniel, would you want to add either your own advice to product managers or any other theme you would want to add?
So I think we gave good advice. In general, there was a lot of good conversation that applies to product manager. I would say that managers in general, and that's something that I learned while I was in the military, the difference between a commander and a leader. A commander is somebody that when they tell people to do something, they do it. And the leader is the same, but it actually works even under fire. So under fire, orders are not necessarily followed. So you want to be a leader, and to be a leader, you have to build that trust. So everything that is being said here about yes, you have to know your business, you have to know your customers, and you have to take care about the technical gap that the engineers are going to. All of that is true. You have to have a good relationship with these folks. You have to develop a good relationship with sales, because otherwise you're not going to lead. You're going to give orders, and people are going to be working on their side gig, whatever it is, and you're not going to get a product out. And the side gig can be in sales, and it can be a side gig in R&D, it can be a side gig in manufacturing for people in hardware. There's always something more interesting than work.
Yes. Humans matter. I love, Daniel, how you brought it in this conversation, you brought the human element constantly to it. At the end of the day, it's the interactions with humans, and we're still leading and working with humans. So that's a really good perspective, building trust. Apurva, do you want to bring us home? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yeah. One of the things that's always on top of my mind, and it's also like probably one of the first conversation that we started this meeting with. Do PMs need to be more technical or less technical with AI now that we have AI? I think we are heading in the direction of engineer PMs. Especially what I'm seeing from day to day. I think what AI has definitely done is lowered the barrier to entry in understanding how your code base is structured internally, especially at the solutioning stage. When as a PM, I'm proposing my ideas to engineering team. If I propose something which is very complex without understanding the nuances of how much dev time my P1, P2, P0 ideas will take, or maybe if I had known all of that earlier, I could have refined how my proposed solution would look like. I think AI has made it easier. Now I can talk to my code base in plain language and refine or poke holes in my solutions that I'm thinking. And a number of times in this conversation, it was brought up, and also through when reading the narratives from top PMs, building prototypes is important. So I think even to do that, setting PM should know how to set up AI tools, build code with on their own laptop, even though they might not understand everything, but it still gives them some perspective on how code is structured, and it has built good prototypes that they can sell.
I love it. That's perfect. So with that question, I want to wrap up. If anyone on our panel wants to add any final words, that we didn't, any question that I didn't ask that you would want to talk about it, please jump in. Other than that, I just want to thank the Advisory Council for the time and expertise that you're putting in it. And for anyone who is watching now or watching later and listening to this webinar, watching it on YouTube, these are some of the best product leaders out there that they're putting their time and energy and expertise and sharing it with you. So connect with them on LinkedIn and leverage their expertise. And we really at Products Account appreciate their time. Any last words from any of our Advisory Council members on the panel?
I just want to say how impressed I was, for everyone who got nominated, regardless of whether they won. Just such an amazing talent pool of product managers out there doing really different, really interesting things and really different approaches to their craft. There's a lot we can all learn from each other, and various people are approaching it in very different ways. So I love that, Products Account is here to kind of share this out, and super happy to be a part of it.
Well said. Thank you. Any other last words from anyone?
The only other thing I would add, based on what Kristen said, is some of the best PMs out there, irrespective of what title, what role, what seniority level they are at, they had something in their profile that was building the community. And they were trying to give back to the craft or improve the product management practice somehow. And I think that's really, really important. And it shouldn't just be left to leaders. Everybody should do their part in making the craft better and helping other PMs hone their craft, irrespective of how many years of experience you have. So I thought that really stood out to me, that people are out there wanting to build other people. That was very heartwarming to see.
Well said. Thank you. Daniel, Purva, any of you want to wrap us up?
Um, uh, I think I will just try to conclude what I've been listening so far. AI native PMs are definitely the winning PMs, but the fundamentals of product management are still the same. Being at the top of voice of what your customer wants, how to tie that to business outcomes, and driving stakeholder alignment in addition to writing requirements and releasing products.
Well said. Thank you. Daniel, you're the last one.
Well, since so many wise words were already said, all I have to say is Products That Count has this award twice a year and once a year for leaders. Please apply. If you listened all the way to the end, please apply. We're happy to look at new techniques and learn from new PMs.
Absolutely. Well said. That's a great way to finish this great roundtable. Thank you for your time, Kuri, Kristen, Daniel, Purva. Thanks for everything you do. It was great to have you on this show. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.